Welcome to this week podcast of Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Michael Koku. Today we're doing something different, and we are with us last week the privilege of having Deb Hult, and she was so phenomenal. She talked about if it's what it is going to be hard. In case you missed that, go and check the last week podcast. But today we're going to do something different because Ms. Deb Hult is going to be one of our speakers at the upcoming Parent Empowered Annual Global Conference. Parent Empowered Annual Global Conference, the first of its kind, the first time ever, is coming up December 16. It's going to be a virtual conference, 3.5 conference. It's going to be a powerful time. We'll be having a panel session with all the speakers. Ms. Deb Hult, she's one of the speakers. We have other speakers like Gina Watt and Tim and Angela Brown. And we have the PR director, Coach Muti Olori. It's going to be great, a power pack, and speakers coming to you. And listen, it is FREE. Yes. Did you hear me? You just had me right. We're making this conference. And if you are listening to this and watching this on YouTube, we're going to put the link for your registration. Well, for those of you that are smart, that said, I want it now. Okay, you ready for this? It is eventcreate.com/E for Eric/PL 2023. PL is PEARL 2023. But don't worry. You're going to get it in the link, but I just share that with you because some of you are so you want to jump into the water now. So everything we'll be sharing right now with Ms. Deb Hult is going to be about parenting, about the parenting conference. And the theme of the conference is parenting out of an overflow. Parenting out of an overflow. And Ms. Debra, she's very big on relational leadership. And one thing I like about her is, you see, I don't like philosophers. Not that I hate philosophers. I love practitioners, people that are doing the talk. There are 3 kinds of leadership. We have, number 1, we have a temporal leadership. And number 2, we have incomplete leadership. Number 3, we have ultimate leadership. Now, this is what makes you a temporal leadership. When you talk the talk, but don't do the work. Everything we just know about you, you're a big talker, but you don't doing anything. You're not a practitioner. That makes you a temporal leadership. That means very soon people will stop following you. They'll stop subscribing to your leadership. The second kind of leadership is incomplete leadership, in which you're doing the work. You're a practitioner, but you're not telling people. You're not sharing with the people that you are leading to give them a practical explanation of what you're doing. They see you in action, but you're not talking about it. Even though you are a leader, but you are an incomplete leader. And the last one, which we all need to be, is ultimate leadership. In ultimate leadership, you talking the talk, you sharing with people all the leadership principles that you are living by, and also you are walking the walk. Wow, how great is that? So you might be saying, wow, is it wrong for me just to be a leader? Yes, you can be a leader, you can do a lot of stuff, but if you don't share with people what you're doing, you're not an ultimate leader. I want to tell you, I got with me today an ultimate leader. You know how I know? She got one of her sons with her, working together in the same company. And this is the proof of highlighting relational leadership. And that's why we really sought for her to come and speak at the parenting conference. So I want to ask you one question to start you with, Ms. Deb. Thank you again, Ms. Deb. We're glad to have you back. Thank you for honoring us. And
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here, my friend. Again, Dr. K.
Now, tell us, and Ms. Debra, what do you see today as the greatest challenge in parenting. What makes parenting different to parenting 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? Tell us, what do you see as a mother, as a parent, and as a speaker, as a leader? What makes parenting different now than it was many years back?
Oh, that's a big question. And I'm going to answer it with two things. Actually, I'm going to be one, distractions, way too many distractions, and time. Time. And we all have the same amount of time, but we don't value the time as we should. Because we don't take the time to sit down and think about all the things that are distracting us from being intentional with our relationships, because that is what matters. We are relationally conscious. That's as human beings, we are relationally conscious. It is. And so I would say there is a world of distractions that we need to start taking a look at to have control of. And time, because we make excuses about how busy we are. We don't have the time. And I get it. We all have a certain amount of time. We all have the same amount of time every day. But what's the priority? What's the legacy?
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for really sharing that. You highlighted distractions and time. And the next question is this: what is the most challenging about parenting in the 21st century?
So I think that some of the biggest challenges is that we assume things, and we don't go back to the basics of being mindful of being mindful of the distractions. And so it makes it hard to parent, because right now we have social media, and social media can be such a great thing, right? It can be such a good thing. Look at, here we are, advertising all of this. It's a good thing. But right now, our youth, their identity is just being consumed into what's happening on social media. And let's face it, we all post the positive stuff on social media. We don't see what's really going on. And so then that comparison game comes into play when they really think that that's really how people's lives are. And that's really not. And especially now in the life of a teenager, because that's where we spend a lot of our time, is having them understand the value they have, but they're so busy getting caught up on what everybody else is doing. And most of it, we're all going to paint a pretty picture.
Wow.
And so it makes it challenging for a parent to have empathy, to understand where they're coming from. Because again, I don't know how often people are looking to see what their kids are watching, what they're doing, what's going on their phones, because we all know that they all have a lot of different, they have social media accounts that you don't think they have, but they have them.
Wow, that's awesome. In fact, that led me to the next question. How has technology changed the parenting landscape in this 21st century?
How do I answer that?
Because Dr. Tim Elmore, he has done a lot of work on growing leaders, new generation, Gen Z and all that. He said in those, back in the days, it used to be each home used to have one screen. That means one TV, everybody gathered together to watch. But now we got so many screens, iPad, iPhone, and so many.
At a very young age.
Yeah, exactly.
And when it's that young, and unfortunately, also there's a piece of this comes from a fear-based mentality to wanting to know where your child is. And then because of that fear base, is there trust in there also? And so there's a lot of that, as well as trusting one to be able to monitor social media, to be able to, because it's out there and it is a good thing and we utilize it, but there's so much out there that kids are looking at and watching, and that parents really need to start being very aware of. And kids want boundaries. I'm not going to tell you how to parent. I am not going to tell you how to parent, but kids like boundaries, right? Think about it. When mom's in a good mood, how's the household? It's good. It feels safe. It's good because mom's in a good mood, right? When mom's in a bad mood, the reality is people are like, okay, I'm out. Peace out. And, everybody disperses and nobody's in the kitchen anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah, that you said that because we're living in a very we're not making an excuse for parents not accepting responsibility, but we just been acknowledging the tendency, the landmines that parents have to cope with in these days. So what can you say are the most common misconception about parenting in this kind of world that we live in?
I think we have to understand what love means. I think we need to slow down. And again, my intent is not to tell anybody how to parent. We're all going to parent differently, but our kids want to be seen and they want to be heard. And it doesn't, and they're, as we know, our teenagers, they can, be great, go to the bathroom and they come back and they're different. Like, what happened? You went to the bathroom and then what happened? And so it's an emotional roller coaster. So I get it. It's hard to be patient with that. But I think that they appreciate being real. And that's the one thing I never tried to, in my parenting, I never tried to sugarcoat things. I was always very real about what was going on, what was happening, but I always tried to have them understand why. It's like anything. If you can understand why, you're more likely to support. And you can't support what you don't know. And it goes right back to leadership, right? Just by telling them, because I'm your parent, if that's working for you, that's fine. Again, I'm not here to tell you how to parent, but for me, that doesn't work for me, right? As an adult, don't tell me what to do, show me. And so I'm leading by example and I'm building, again, being relationally conscious about my relationship with my kids. And they listen, y'all, they listen. I raised hockey players. And so there were so many times that in our car that we would talk and we would share different experiences and stories, and they might not say anything, but I promise you, they are listening. They are listening. They are watching and they are absorbing everything. And so I can tell you that, several years later, these things that are coming out of their mouth, I'm like, oh my gosh, they were paying attention when I said that. And they're sharp, they're smart. They absorb so much in that expression of you can't kid a kid. They know. That's like they know the energy, they know the vibe. And so you can't kid them. The authenticity, they get it. They get it. And that's why I love working with youth, because they do get it. They get it.
That's awesome. That's great. The next question for you will be this. There's a parent listening to you right now, and the parent is in this kind of mindset of being open to help. And I mean, the parent is becoming more clueless, especially to handle teenagers, to handle even the kids in elementary school. So many issues coming up, and they really want to be a better parent. So what would be your advice for parents that are struggling, that they want to do better, they just want to seek help? So what would be your advice for parents that are listening to this podcast, watching you on YouTube, and they just need help, and they just need that help, they're crying out for help? What would be your best advice for them?
Something that doesn't cost a thing, but will cost millions if you don't, is time. Make the time. Think about where you're spending time, that and it's quality time. It doesn't have to be quantity. It could be 5 minutes of all the screens put aside, the phones put down, just being open and making some eye contact, have some open body language, and just, how are you today, really? How was your day today, really? And be willing to ask those follow-up questions, because initially they're going to say fine. So explain fine.
How does fine look like?
Explain fine. And so I would say it's just time, and it can be 5 minutes. It can be 5 minutes of quality time of sitting down and making the eye contact, because when we make eye contact and we uncross our arms, we're going to connect.
That's awesome. That's great. I agree with you because I talked about the communication equation, that 7% communication is by what we say, that's word of mouth. 38% is how we say it, tone of voice, and 55% is non-body language. The body language, non-verbal communication. And I give it an acronym, EFGP: the eye movement, facial expression, the gesture, and then the posture. And everything counts in communication.
And breathe, just breathe. Just sit down and just breathe. And if you're consistent, consistency compounds, right? So it doesn't have to be 30 minutes every day. We're going to do this project today. We're going to do this project tomorrow. No, just sit. Just sit for a minute.
That's awesome.
And if a project comes after that, or if there's something else that evolves from that, but that consistency will compound because it's meaningful and intentional. It's putting intentionality into 5 minutes. 55% of your communication is your body language. Right? 38% is the inflection of your voice. So just calm down. It's not what you say. Again, it's how you said it, right?
That's awesome.
So I would say time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now let's talk about December 16th.
Yes, let's go. Come on, let's go. December 16th. Now, we are ready for you.
One of the things this leadership community, the LAMP, we have what we call the LAMP Global Community. The LAMP Global Community is the parent organization of PL. PL is positive. PL is Parent Empowered Academy for Right Leadership. This is an academy that inspire and equip parents all around the world on how to parent out of an overflow. And that's been the focus of this conference that is coming up December 16. Like I said, Ms. Debra Hult will be one of the speakers. So tell us, what can people expect from this first ever Parent Empowered Annual Global Conference? It's going to be virtual and it's going to be free because we want parents all around the world to know that help is not just on the way, that help is here, help is available, for them, that we want to be their CEO, their Chief Encouragement Officer. We're not telling them how to parent, but we're making them to know that there's a friend that they have in all the speakers, Ms. Debra Hult, Mr. Tim, Ms. Angela Brown, Ms. Gina White, and also the PR director, Coach Motelo Lori, and all the cast. So tell us, what should they expect from your own session as one of the speakers? What can they expect?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And he did say free. You heard that part, right, audience? You heard the free part. This is free. And so it's an incredible lineup, and I am honored to be part of the lineup. And really, it's for me, again, my main focus is always relational leadership, but being relationally conscious as a parent. I am a mom. I have twin boys that I have raised. And as we alluded to, one of my boys is actually running our company and doing leadership development. And so, not to tell you how to parent, but talk about relationship gaps in that how to fuse the gap in practical things. So to put some intentionality in equipping you with just a few practical things, again, not to tell you how to parent, but to give you ideas on how to fill that gap, because we do have generations. We have generational diversity, right? And so, as Tim Elmer talks about, so we'll talk about how do you build that? How do you build the gap so that you can bridge one generation to the next, and more understanding of how to do that. And so that way we can give you some tips and some ways that we can intentionally build those meaningful relationships with your children, with your and not only with your children, but with it could be your cousins, it could be your spouse, your significant other. So the idea is the relational piece is what I'm really excited to share and talk about and give you.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So tell, I want you to really uh, use this platform to encourage parents why they need to sign up for this parental conference. Like I said, and someone said, no expense, no excuse. It's free.
No
We making
expense,
it
no
free
excuse.
because we want to serve them. We want to help them.
Yeah.
And someone said, oh, then because someone said everyone listen to WIIFM. WIIFM.
Yes, what's in it for me? Yeah. So I would say, again, it goes right back to that saying, it takes a village, right? It takes a
Yeah.
village. And I'm not perfect. I've always appreciated and the reality is this, and hopefully nobody takes this the wrong way, but the reality is that just by getting one small thing change the trajectory of your relationships with your kids.
Yeah.
One small thing that somebody could say on this platform that we just might not think of, because we all have our lane of what we're really good at. And so as a parent, choose this lane to get something, and it might just be one thing that you are able to apply. And I know there'll be a lot, but we relate to people differently.
Yeah.
And so put yourself in a situation to win on a platform that gives you a genre of different ideas, concepts that all fall under this thing, parenting, because we can't do it alone. And I know for me, I'm like, wait, I already told you that. But they're like, but somebody else told them. So
Wow.
getting other people's perspective is going to only support your ability to continue to be the next best version of yourself.
Wow, that's awesome. I want to say thank you to you, Ms. Debra. In fact, we're looking forward to this December 16th.
I can't wait.
And Parents Empowered Annual Global Conference. It's going to be first of its kind. Like I said, the website is already live, and at eventcrates.com/e/PL 2023. We're going to put it in this YouTube so that you can have it and start to register. And you also can register other people. You have the privilege to register 2 other persons per registration. But we just want to make sure that when you are registering others, make sure you put their email. Don't put the same email that you put for yourself. Make sure that you put in their email when you are registering for others. But the main thing is this Parent Empowered Annual Global Conference is going to be great. I tell you, Miss Deb, she's born and ready. She's ready to.
I think we're all ready for you all. We are all ready.
Yeah,
we just love to share. We love to share. We love to empower, and we're here for you all, the audience, to just, again, if you get one thing out of attending, because again, it is free, but it's worth millions before the people that are part of it.
Exactly. And this is what it's all about. And we want to say thank you, Ms. Deb. Thank you for doing the back-to-back last week and this week. Thank you so much, viewers and listeners, for listening to this podcast. And we want to tell you something, that this is a podcast that encourages application. So we want to encourage you to put into application everything you've learned. And also, if you're a parent, please remember to check the link to register for the Parents Empowered Annual Global Conference being hosted by PL, Parents Empowered Academy for Right Leadership. This is your host, Dr. Michael Koku. Till I come your way next week with another dynamic speakers. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.